So some of the equipment we have on this horse, we have a full cheek snaffle on. That's many times my bit of choice when we first get them started under saddle, and they may change later on. We have a running martingale on these horses, and it's not meant to force their head down. It is not meant to give you a headset. It's really more to give you a little leverage if this horse gets way above the bridle. But if this horse's head is in a comfortable position, not even necessarily bridled up, it's not going to be pulling down on those reins. I really don't want the martingale to do anything, just be there more as a safety measure. We've now added a cavesson on this horse just to encourage its mouth to stay closed. However, Alex, go ahead and move to the side for a second. Thank you. But we don't strap that really shut. So I don't mind her chewing on the bit a little bit like she's doing. I'd like to avoid the gapping, but then if she's gapping a lot, I don't know if she's ready for this. But just really in case she just really opens her mouth and the bit's not working properly, we'll just have this, snug but not tight, so we can easily put 2 fingers between the nose and the nose band. So we're ready to go ahead and try laying over her back. All right, Alex, go for it. So when he's doing this, he's going to put his foot in the stirrup, bend her quite a bit to the left. In this case, he will bend her to the right on the right side. I like to have students hold something solid for if they have to hold the pad or hold the horn. I want them to hold something pretty solid. So if they pull their head, you need to bend her more. Pull their head straight and bolt off, they are going to be unable to. So this is why spinning them out is helpful too, that we know they are going to bend without resistance. So he's going to bounce up and down. He can bounce up, lay on her back, putting the weight in the belly. And he needs to not put quite so much weight in the stirrup, but just put the weight in her belly. And then once he's up and lying down and keeping this horse bent to the left, he can start to rub her all over. So he can kind of rub her on the belly, rub her on the back, rub her on her neck. And then I'm going to have him go ahead and take the stirrup fender and the stirrup on the off side, and he can encourage her to move. He can kind of bump her with that, and then the minute she takes a step, he can stop bumping her. I want this horse to move. I want her to feel the wiggle of the saddle. I want her to feel the weight. I want her to learn that she can find her balance. She may feel that she can't balance, but I want her to know that she can and she can find it. So we want to get her used to a lot of different things. There's a visual component to this because up to this point, they've never seen anything hanging off their left side. So this mare is doing this really well. Not super concerned. If we can keep her moving a little bit more, that would be nice. So we want to kind of do that. Maybe not have to bump her quite so far back, so your leg won't go quite far back. Okay. And keep clucking to her. And then always be careful that if you're doing this, that you are not letting your clothing get stuck on the horn. Okay, Alex, go ahead and step down, and we can do this to the right. You want to stay on your toe, not having your whole foot in there. There's times where if you have too much foot in there, if you happen to get off, when you twist your ankle a little bit, your foot might be stuck in there. And that would not be a good scenario if this horse bolts off. So she's pretty good. Alex has a little too much foot in the stirrup for me. So I want him to get on that toe and be able to get off quickly. There you go, just step down. And he's doing really well, putting the weight. So sometimes horses are a little more frightened when they see you on the right side. We might attribute that to horses having a lot of things done on the left and maybe not as much to the right. He can do the same thing as bumper with that stirrup. He can cluck to her, kind of encourage her to move around a little bit, kind of feel what he feels like on her back. And she nicely doesn't seem to be overly concerned about this. However, I never take anything for granted because I've seen on occasion they're quiet like this and all of a sudden something bothers them and they get kind of silly. So always be prepared for them to jump and be kind of silly and be delighted when they're nice and quiet like this. So let's see if we can kind of get her moving around a little bit. Depending on the horse, you may have to do this, a couple times. And if this is a really silly horse, you may have to do this for a couple of days. So what you want to make sure of is that this horse is really acclimated to this before you make a commitment to sitting on its back. I really don't want any of my students to, have a bucking bronco first ride. So we try to make this as calm as we can and make sure this horse has met all of our little checks and check on our checklist before we go ahead and commit to getting on them. There you go. A little bit of tail tucking, but she's not too worried about this. There we go. All right, Alex, go ahead and step down once she stops.